are live. Welcome to my video. This is going to be about 28 years later. We're going to start with a review that's only going to spoil the first two movies, not this one. And then we're going to get into a thoughts section where I will be spoiling this movie as well. And, okay, let's see. The movie's rated R. So will this video be? I fucking love this movie. Yeah, I think I'm gonna hold off on ranking until at the end of the review itself. So if that is the primary thing you're here for, then that's, you can skip ahead. Right. So yeah, I don't know if I'm going to say this every single time I get to one, but some of what I'm about to say, I am not the first to make the observation. I did read and watch some other reviews. Yeah, let's see. So, I think a good place to start is, this is very much a case where you need to adjust your expectations. Danny Boyle is not the biggest franchise fan, or franchise? That doesn't make any sense. And this does reflect that. Yeah, I mean, if you are primarily here for a zombie movie, and yes, I'm, as I've done with the first two, I've done videos on the first two entries, and what, I don't know if Outlaw Vern was the one who coined this, but he used it, and I like that. I like it, so I'll use it too. The 28 Time Units Later series. Yeah, I'm gonna call these zombie movies. I explained why in my video on the first one. If you just want a zombie movie, at times this does deliver that. But if you want wall-to-wall zombie, that's not... No, this ain't it, Chief. Did a vibe check, this ain't it. And yeah, I did see a couple of people say that they kind of expressed that they thought it would be, which, I mean, the first one, which was the only other one, he didn't direct the second one, he was providing sunshine at the time. The first one was not that traditional of a zombie movie either, so I don't know exactly why. Maybe people forgot that, but yeah, and there's, I mean, I'm sorry, but if you do need if you need a movie that is that, there's plenty out there. I don't know if there's that many recent ones. I don't watch all the recent horror movies, but yeah, there's so many classic zombie movies that are, I mean, among my favorites are the Trilogy of the Dead, for example. I think each of those movies was better than the last. In some ways, not always. Overall, yes, I do think Dawn of the Dead, 1978, is the best of those. But I am a big believer in media that gives us what we think we want is often less interesting than media that gives us what we don't know we need. And this one is very much the latter. Because I think a lot of the worst movies ever made were ones where it was just like, well, I mean, people seem to want this thing, so let's just give them a lot of that. And I'm not saying it's always the case, but a lot of the best movies ever made are the ones that really went out there and was like, no, let's fucking do something that nobody thought would, so yeah. This one really fucks with your emotional state. This was genetically engineered to fuck with my emotional state in particular. Like, I don't know if... Is there some chance that Alex Garland and Danny Boyle are two versions of me from other universes in the multiverse? Because, like, holy fucking shit. I don't know how much I'm going to get into detail about that. Some of you will already know what I'm talking about because I've talked about it in other videos, but fuck. So if I seem a little frazzled, that's part of why. Also, I'm usually asleep at this hour, so that's another thing. I'm gonna try not to let that fuck up. There we go. Fuck up the video. I'm gonna try to not let. Yeah. You know what? You have the words. You make them a sentence. I think this is a good time to start talking slightly more specific. So, yeah, there is some somewhat trippy editing here. We're not like David Lynch, R.I.P. territory, but nevertheless, it's yeah. It's not a spoiler because this is really just like thematic. It's not like a plot thing, but there are times where it will cut from this, like, I guess it's maybe from an old movie or something. From a movie, from a different movie. I mean, because there's these archers. I mean, it looks like Arthurian maybe, or Robin Hood or something. And it cuts between them and then this present day thing of, because yeah, they're using bows and arrows, which makes a lot of sense. You know, easier to mass produce in their current situation than bullets and guns. And yeah, there's a number of reasons. I'm not going to go into every single one, but yeah, they'll cut between them, and it. I mean, yeah, you get it. You know, British have a history of being very effective with bow and arrow, and yeah, like it's this thing of like making something old work for you again. Um, yeah. Other than that, the I I don't. I guess I don't want to give away exactly what, but I'll just say this goes for a different subgenre than you might think. Uh, I thought it worked incredibly. I fucking loved it. I love curveballs like this, and I think it justifies its own existence. I don't think every single piece of media has to, but I do think this. Yeah. It is not that much of a continuation of the first two. That is very much, and if the movie hadn't been fucking amazing, I would probably have been frustrated, especially with, the second one really seems to be saying, let's head in this direction. And I'm not going to give away exactly. I'll just say this one definitely does not do as much with that, take as many steps in that direction as I had anticipated for the last 18 fucking years, almost 20 years, about half my life. So yeah, I think that's a testament to how good this movie is, how great this movie is. That I'm usually I used to get very disappointed when media did not deliver, and that is, you don't have to quote my old videos back me. I know I used to be one of the people who thought, no, media should give you exactly what you want, because capitalism, as if that doesn't make, like, a lot of the worst problems we're dealing with today are, created by or worsened by capitalism. Sometimes both. And I'm not saying movies that we expect to be... Fuck, I'm getting really off track here. Obviously, I'm not saying that movies that deliver what we think they will are the cause of climate change. It's a... Yeah, I'm not gonna get too much into it here. I'll just say... I'll get back to so specifically the editing. I really love the way that it would fuck with, like, there were times where, like, perspective was being messed with in a really compelling way. There's this really compelling camera trick. Like I got to see in one of the video reviews I watched, I saw behind the scenes photo. They have this rig that honestly reminds me a little of the Matrix bullet time rig, but here they don't like have the camera move around. It's just they'll do like they'll take it from one angle and then go to another angle and then go back to a more, a different, a third angle. It seems to just be there for stylistic flair. As someone else, I don't remember their name. I'm sorry. Somebody else pointed out, doesn't really seem to mean anything for like, but it's, Danny Boyle likes stylistic flair sometimes. It doesn't always have to mean something. This is definitely the most visually legible of these three movies. I think it works a lot of the time in the first two because it is about the chaos. It's like, you also can't pick up every single individual little thing that happens in the storming the beach of Normandy, in Saving Private Ryan. We're not meant to. But I do really appreciate that here. There were times where I wasn't sure if there's the perspective fuckery. But other than that, like, it's very easy to tell what you're looking at. The distance between the infected and humans. Yeah, let's go with that. So yeah, in case that was something that bothered you about the first two, do not, fret not, dear viewer. Let's see. I think that does just about cover the cinematography and editing. And I just remembered I was supposed to, right, okay. I'm starting over. There are no winners in this game. Yeah. Oh, right. Did I mention I absolutely love the first two, in case you didn't watch my videos on those two. Anyway, the writing. I'm so happy Alex Garland started. He was like a novelist before, on the beach. They were adapting his novel, and then he just started writing screenplays, and sometimes with Danny Boyle, and that turned out amazing, and then sometimes on his own, and that gave us such amazing movies, and also Men. I haven't watched Men, but from what I hear, yeah. Apparently, the Morbid Zoo didn't think it was like, she found something positive about it, which I quite appreciate. I think it's, I'm not trying to like dogpile the movie, especially when I haven't fucking watched. I'll probably watch it at some point. It's just a little more expensive right now on home media that I'm willing to pay. But yeah, this is actually the first thing that Alex Garland has written. Let's see, since when was it? Fuck, I forget the exact release year, and my wrists are fucked, so I'm not gonna look it up right now. But when he made Ex Machina, that was his directorial debut. This is the first time that he's written something that he didn't then direct. That wasn't like did he write video games or something? I think I saw that on his filmography. He's not a video game developer, but he's written these movies. He wrote like a show. This is the first time that he relinquished directorial duties. And yeah, I fucking love Ex Machina and Annihilation. I think there's a lot to love in Civil War. I could see him make a movie like this. I do think Danny Boyle is overall the better choice for these, But yeah, there's, goddamn, the authenticity, the psychological accuracy and credibility. There's this family in this, and like with every single fucking one of them, every family member felt like a fully realized person. There are several times in this movie, I'm not going to give away exactly who, but there are times where there are conflicts between characters that we know well enough, that we understand their point of view, and we might be like, please don't fucking do it. No, don't stop doing that. But we get why they're doing it. And like, fuck, I love media that actually lets us understand, because it's so important. Because in real life, so many conflicts, they're resolved once people empathize with each other and understand each other's point of view, you know, and it's so fucking relevant. I can't believe how they really, because we are going through times right now where one of the biggest problems is people not listening to each other and not trying to help, and I'm trying to not, you know, I'm trying to not finger point, because finger pointing gets us nowhere, Steve. We got to get to a point where Zionists empathize with Palestinians, where, you know, I mean, thankfully there's already a lot of support from a lot of people all over the world for Palestine, for Ukraine, but just, yeah. I'm so... It fills my heart with hope to see so many people standing up against ICE. The LA riots just, and you know, ICE and Trump and others in the administration fucked up because they didn't realize they can't control all the messaging around it. There's so many, I've seen so many videos of people who actually went to the LA, you know, the protests and filmed and talked to people, and it's like, how is the, oh, these are the dangerous, like, they're clearly just regular people who don't want innocent people fucking deported over where they were born, you know? So just, yeah. I'm gonna get back to the movie now. I'm not saying every single piece of media has to show us every single perspective, but I love when they do it. And, yeah, Alex Garland, Danny Boyle, they're so fucking good at this. God damn, I'm so glad they're working in you know, in movies, and they're getting these budgets that allow them to do these things. Just more is forthcoming. I am not done with Danny Boyle. Don't worry. That is 100%. Yeah. Fuck, I don't know if it's gonna be right away, because, oh god, there's so many fucking movies I want to get to, and some of them are on streaming, and I don't know how long they're gonna be on streaming, so I'm trying to get to them. Anyway, yes. I really loved the way that this is not really a movie of good guys and bad guys. It's about flawed individuals trying to make things work. And we're exposed to multiple, not viruses, but points of view and just like ideas of, because they're essentially, they're largely dealing with the same thing. They're just, you know, they came from different backgrounds, and they're trying different things, and you know, I fucking love that the movie isn't telling us this is the right one, this is the wrong one. It's just, you know, we, like, by the end of the movie, yeah, it's like, well, what do you think? You know, viewer, where do you come down on this whole thing? Because, yeah, I don't know, you know, could be this, could be that. It's really not, yeah, goddamn. I thought they did a phenomenal job on making there's this society, because, yeah, it's been 28 years, and you know, they do the thing again, the thing that we love, I love, hopefully you love. They'll show a thing of the infection, and dramatic scene, and then black screen, and then the title drop, which does double duty, because it's also there to tell us how long has passed. And yeah, let's see. This could be the first. If you haven't watched the first two, this could absolutely be the first one. No problem whatsoever. But yeah, it feels like a real society. I mean, they're essentially living the way that I mentioned. They show this footage of like archers during like medieval times. Yeah, it's not entirely unlike that. There's a bunch of stuff that we take for granted today that they don't have access to, but they make it work. The triumph of the human spirit. The refusal to give up, because they have a society, and they're like, it works. They're able to defend the place they have. There's people just like, it starts with this thing of like a young character who's like, it's sort of a test they have to go through, and people are like, good luck, you can do this, you got this, I know you absolutely got. And it doesn't feel like, essentially, like, yeah, they're aware that it's the apocalypse, it's this dystopian, but that's right outside, though. That's not here. Yeah, because like 28 years, that's a long time to just brood and be grimdark. No, people would make society, and I kind of appreciate they actually, like, the trailer doesn't really make that, completely clear. I don't think it's a spoiler, to be clear. But yeah, the trailers are slightly misleading on that. Make it, I guess I already kind of said that. It's not a wall-to-wall zombie flick. Yeah, I think that does pretty well cover. So the production value is great. The set design is so, like, it feels so lived in. It feels like this is what the world that we saw in the first two movies would look like after 28 years, and in this particular corner of it. Let's see, they do a good job on stuff like costumes and makeup. It really does feel, because it's the apocalypse. Are people really gonna dress fancy? Are they gonna wear like heavy makeup? And no, of course they don't. It feels like people are. It's essentially like hand-me-downs, and there's even like, there's this sign at the place where they gather tools, and there's like, they call it a store, but it's essentially storage, and you just walk up. There's no currency. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, currency? No, like, it's a society. It's an actual, like, it's a fucking commune. I love it. Like, yeah, just I'm not saying this is the first piece of like dystopian media that underlines, hey, communism would work in, like, yeah. I was about to say under those circumstances, but yeah, I mean, if capitalism didn't fuck it up, communism would work. So yeah. Anyway, I'm not the best channel to discuss that in detail, but there's a bunch of my fellow commies right here on YouTube, so yeah. Including some who actually live in, countries that, or did. For, some of them did and no longer do. But yeah, yeah, a lot of what you've heard about communism, it's the fault of, it's the fact that it's a dictatorship. A capitalist dictatorship would not be better than a communist one. In some ways, it would be significantly worse. And Trump is like inadvertently proving that point very, very nicely these days. His decisions recently, the whole fucking tariff thing, I'm sorry, but if you can't see that as like, yeah, the Soviet Union, they not only took all of the harvest, they took the seed. How do you expect them to have another harvest next season exactly? Um, Chairman Mao, the various again, I'm not the best person to go over all the, but there were certainly aspects of. It's been so long. I think it's called the Cultural Revolution. There were certainly aspects. I'm not an expert or something, but there were definitely aspects of it that were very ill-conceived. And yeah, Trump is making similar decisions right now. Just yeah. Fuck. Let's see. I think that might more or less go right. Yeah. So the storage area. There's a sign that says, "Please do not take new tools unless you need them." Like there's not someone standing there saying, "What are you doing? You can't do that." It's just like honor system, and it seems to work for them. Like just yeah. Um. Let's see the music, fantastic. Like in all three of these, the music is so fucking good. Um, yeah. Let's see. Oh, that's right. I don't actually have a. Let's just add sound design. There we go. I got a file where I have like to remind myself what to talk about. So briefly, the sound design. There's some. Holy shit. If you are looking for nightmare fuel, especially, not exclusively, but in part, it's not the only, yeah, in part, in audio form, this is your ticket. Your ticket to this is your ticket. And they do it in the trailer as well, so it's not, and it's very early. It's not a spoiler. They implement what I understand to be a Rudyard Kipling poem, which, like, goddamn, just inspired. And it's so fucking good. Yeah. It's amazing in the trailer. It's even better in the movie. Yeah. Yeah, other aspects of the sound design. Violence sounds like it fucking hurts. It looks like it as well, but sound design is extremely crucial. If you doubt me for a second, watch, find your the most violent scene that you've ever seen, and watch it without the sound on, and you'll see how big a part of it that is. Yeah. The acting is incredible across the board. So this is shit. I forget if this is the first or just one of the first, but yeah, the kid in this, fantastic. I know I've said it several times in recent videos, but it bears repeating. We are in a golden age of child actors and teen actors and such. Like, I don't really remember the last time I saw a bad performance by, a kid or a teen in something that was made recently. They've gotten so fucking good. And yeah, this kid, like, he is going places. And yeah, if he was not phenomenal, it could completely destroy the movie. So it's really, really good. That's yeah. The second one also did a really great job. I'm not gonna get too much into, yeah, we appreciate, in the first one, the actress who plays Hannah, not the very best. I talk about why that likely, what is likely the reason for it in my video on the first. Yeah. The pacing definitely there. It's slightly uneven. I've seen others say that it at times feels like, this is very much the movie that they wanted to make. This is not the movie that like the studio was insisting, okay, make exactly this. I'm sure The studio would probably have liked them to make certain very different decisions. There are times where you can tell they're not super interested in the zombies, and I mean, to their credit, when the movie goes there, it goes all the way. It doesn't feel like they're really holding back, but yeah, sometimes story stuff does feel like, okay, this is not, they're, yeah, they had an idea for a movie they wanted to make, and like maybe there was some kind of studio pressure of like, you gotta finally make another 28 time units later movie, and I will say, what are they calling the next two? Because this is the first of a trilogy. I mean, obviously it's not going to be 29 decades later, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe they're going to start... They're going to have to, like, alter... Maybe 29 years later, colon, and then some kind of subtitle or something. But, yeah. I think that does pretty well cover that aspect. I was never bored, I'll say that. The effects are phenomenal. I mean, there's a little bit where you can see, okay, that's CG, but at the same time, it's like, they couldn't have done that without CG, and when they can do practical, they do practical, and there's some great stuff there. Yeah, it's intensely scary. There is a little bit of, like, slightly cheesy stuff. There's a jump scare that's, like, okay, you didn't really need to do that. But yeah, it's got some stuff that will probably fuck with your, yeah. You're not gonna be completely okay after watching this. That's going to be true for a lot of people. Yeah. Let's see. I think that pretty well. Yeah. So, like the first two, there is some somewhat casual nudity in this, for those that are either bothered or for those whom it appeals to. I mean, keep in mind, a lot of it's like infected. I don't know. I guess if you're a monster fucker, once this is on home media, there's some stuff you can like slow down. Why the fuck am I talking about that? Moving on. There's some great violence and gore here. I'm sorry. It's just, I think so many people get so obsessed with like nudity and sex in media. So I'm just trying to satirize that. Don't know if I'm doing the best job. Anyway, yeah, if you're here for like, if you're a gore hound like me, yeah, there's some great stuff here. This has some of the, yeah, I guess this the goriest and most violent stuff of these three movies. Yes, and I watched the first two again recently, so I'm not like misremember. No, this had. I'm not sure it has quite as much violence and gore as like especially that second one, but I would say the gore is some of the goriest and most effective. Like there's some stuff that's really gonna, yeah. Maybe also because some of the goriest stuff actually happens to characters that we have been encouraged to feel something for. Which, in a lot of zombie media, that's not really the case, which I think is a lot of time, that's too bad. It's a really effective way to do it. Okay, I think that is the entire review. Yeah. So yeah. So yes. The movie's directed by Danny Boyle, ranked worst to best. I love all except for Slumdog. Slumdog Millionaire, The Beach, Trainspotting, the first one, 28 Days Later, 28 Years Later, and Sunshine. And yeah, it's going to be very difficult for him to top Sunshine, in my opinion. Let's see. I don't... Tell you what, I'll because I feel like it. all of the zombie movies that I've watched, worst to best. The House of the Dead 1, Day of the Dead 2008, Resident Evil Retribution, Diary of the Dead, Land of the Dead, Resident Evil 2002, Resident Evil Apocalypse, Resident Evil Extinction, Resident Evil Afterlife, Resident Evil The Final Chapter, The Fog, The Crazies, the remake, Quarantine 1, Wreck 1, Dawn of the Dead 2004, Shaun of the Dead, Prince of Darkness, The Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, let's see, Evil Dead Remake, Evil Dead Rise, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead 1978, Day of the Dead 1985, 28 weeks later, 28 days later, and 28 years later. And I should mention Night of the Living Dead's the original. 1968, I want to say? 1960s, let's go with that. Fuck. There we go. Okay, fuck. 8 infected, allowing us to explore complex issues out of 10. And we're going to get into the spoiler sections now. So from here on out, I'm spoiling absolutely everything about this movie. I recently finished season 4 of The Walking Dead, and I gotta say, the early parts of the test for Spike really felt like some of the, I'm not going to give away exactly which, but some of what's in the first 4 seasons of The Walking Dead. Father and son going around, preparing him to deal with zombies, and, the father trying to find a balance between being his friend and raising him and these sorts of things. Let's see, the opening. It's such a great, because, like, I don't think those kids like Teletubbies anymore after these events. And the thing of, like, because that's something that way too many adults don't acknowledge. Kids understand more than a lot of adults give them credit for. They know that there's something horrible out there. You might be protecting them physically. You're not protecting them from the trauma. They're not actually focusing that much on the Teletubbies. And I like, one of the kids almost seems like upset that they're watching Teletubbies. Like, there's this sense of, like, why am I not part of whatever's going on out there, And like, clearly some of these kids are a little old to be watching Teletubbies, but the parents, the adults are just trying to find something that'll keep them, And I quite appreciate the detail. Kudos to the costume department. One of those kids was definitely near, and, conflict and blood spattered onto her clothes. That, or she was drinking, like, raspberry juice and was really messy with it, but I think it's blood. And one of the kids eventually does get up and is, like, about to open the door, and then there's banging on it, and it's like, no. And I appreciate setting the tone. I appreciate them not showing more than was necessary. Yeah, because, like, Jimmy made it out, and he's there at the end. My name is Jimmy. And, for the whole movie, I was waiting, and I'm thinking, are they saying Jamie or Jimmy? Is the father character, is that the adult version? But no, they're the end. And I mean, yeah, it was kind of obvious because there's never let go of the cross, But yeah, we see blood splatter onto the TV that is still showing Teletubbies. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, if you've never watched, if you don't know anything about these, I feel like there's just enough you can deduce what's going on with, from this first scene, because you see one of them, like, close the door and then be attacked, and then she's, like, spitting out blood. So, okay, so she was infected by that other, the one, and the infection makes them angry, and, I guess maybe maybe you wouldn't know about the blood, but that is like later on when you'll get it from when Spike is like, Mom, please be careful. I don't want you to get infected blood, into your eye or something. Uh, yeah. So the kid runs to a church, and yeah, his father, yeah, he thinks this is Revelations. This is Armageddon, which not the first piece of zombie or otherwise similar media to do that, but yeah, he that's how he interprets what's going on, and because of that, he ends up infected. Um, which, yeah, Jimmy is not going to let that happen to himself or someone he cares about or is trying to protect. Let's see, I think so I mentioned in the review that this is a subgenre you might not expect. So if you're watching this far, presumably you watched the movie, yeah, I kind of fucking love that this is in part like a goddamn coming of age during a zombie apocalypse. It's about this kid trying to confront his father about these multiple things all at once within a very short amount of time. Then you have he's trying to protect his mother. Yeah, that one. Fuck, this movie in some ways was like jamming a chainsaw into a scab and then twisting it while it's on and moving it back and forth, and probably a sick puppy for loving it. Yeah, anyway, the early on, like, yeah, he can draw, I think it's called. I know, I used to know how to use a bow and arrow, but I learned it in Danish, not in English. I believe it's called drawing. Yeah, he can draw the bow. He hit that first one fine, but he struggles with the rest of them. And then by the end of the movie, he's not got any problems there, so yeah. And I kind of appreciate, like, I think part of the reason his father is very like bragging about, look how amazing my son is, when it's like, he did okay. It's not like, oh, he's a lost cause, but you're laying it on pretty thick. But, I think part of it is that that's how he thinks is the best way to make his kid, he's worried that his kid is going to taste defeat, and then be like, well, I guess that's it then, and maybe in a way he was right in that, to encourage him like this, because yeah, by the end he's absolutely nailing it. I could go on for way too long about the little society they have, so I'm not going to. I will just say, this thing of, like, he's going. I already mentioned it when he's leaving, but also, they're like, we're gonna have a party when you get back. Not if, but when. And yeah, they, as they're running, it actually cuts. At first I wasn't entirely sure. Are we showing what they're thinking about? But no, it's just cutting. Chronologically, it's jumping ahead slightly, because not long after, after they do arrive and are let in through the gate and everything, then we see them at the party that it was already cutting to several times, so very nicely done there. Yeah, I will say the mask, I really thought that was going to be something like, there's like a cult or something from the trailers, and no, it's not really, yeah. And it was also interesting, Jamie is like, there's villages out there, but we don't visit those. And then by the end, yeah, I mean, maybe we'll find out next movie if Jimmy and the Tone Destroyers are indeed, good people for him to be with, or if, I mean, they could be like sick fucks. They definitely, like, there was more than just, like, taking pride in their work. They seem to be enjoying taking out the infected, and maybe that's just, like, the exhilaration. Maybe it's just, like, Every single, every time that gun fires, it's music to my ears, sweetheart. Every single dead infected means better chance of survival. Maybe that's what it is. Really love this kind of. Yeah, that is all. I almost don't want to see what happens next, but I feel like they're probably going to. And I heard that Nia DaCosta directed the second one. Fuck, I can't wait. God. I do not blame her for the Marvels, but I do think, like, I've watched 2 movies of hers by now. Has she made more than 2? I forget. I do think the better of the 2 was Candyman 2021, and I fucking loved that movie. I guess I understand some of the criticisms, but I thought it absolutely worked. It was exactly, yeah. So yeah, I am more interested in seeing her do more horror, and certainly if she's gonna make more like kind of franchise stuff other than this one, French non-horror franchise stuff. I hope they give her more, creative control. Again, I don't blame her. Nobody can, there's a bunch of directors who've like sworn off these kinds of things because they've had such bad experiences with it. Let's see. Yeah, I thought they did a really good job of like making. God, that is such a clever idea to have this island where, if the tide. Let's see. If there's low tide, you can get past. If there's high tide, you can't swim. The current will get. So they don't even have to watch during high tide. There's no way for even an alpha to get there. But yeah. Low tide, you gotta have someone watching, and they've got like flaming arrows, just such a cool, and that also, yeah, like medieval times, and that was just the shot of the shit. It's been too long since I played Age of Empires 2. I used to remember what those were called. See, it's not trebuchet. No, fuck, I'm not gonna be able to remember, but the big arrow firing thing, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, the fact that so the herd of animals, that's what I meant in the review. That I think that was the only time where I was like, okay, that's definitely CG. I'm sure there were other things that were CG, but at least a few. But yeah, practical whenever they could. So yeah, the and the thing about the way we find it out. God, Alex Garland is so fucking good at that. He's so good at making, because it's technically, fuck, shit, exposition. That's it. It's technically exposition, but it doesn't feel like we're just being okay. The blah blah blah. We just have to sit through this because it's the father. Jamie is testing Spike, which love calling your kid Spike during the zombie apocalypse because a Spike is useful during that particular set of circumstance. And there are 12-year-olds who would like to still be referred to as Spike. I'm not sure how many parents are super enthusiastic about calling a 12-year-old, referring to a 12-year-old Spike. But yeah, the thing about, we're told how the tide works. And yeah, the herd, makes the building start. Oh, wait, was that the herd or was that like a dream? I love when the camera was like on the side because he's on the side, and then Spike is on the side, and then Jamie like pulls him, and the camera like goes upright in a very abrupt way, like waking up kind of thing. I guess the place is fucking collapsing. Of course it is. It's an old building. Let's see. Yeah, I think that pretty well gets us to the and the thing in the woods, it's like squealing like a pig. It's horrible, But yeah, the one he shoots barely moves, and he's like, "Come on, Dad, it's not that big of a deal," and they almost get snuck up on by that other one, and yeah, it is basically, Spike misses with his arrows, and thus Jamie has to take care of all the ones, and they end up running out of arrows and having to hide and not really having, and now they have to go home because they, this is not a good situation to be in. Yeah, Zombieland 2 also did the zombies are evolving kind of thing. I haven't watched that many movies where they go there, but it is an interesting idea, and it's, you got to do something. Overall, if we are talking how to like do something to like build further as far as like franchise, overall I do still think that the idea in the second one was better, but as I've mentioned very shortly, not very long ago, I do think this is the better movie, and I also think, yeah, I think Days is better than Weeks. But yeah, there's so much potential there, and they just it was dealt with off screen. Yeah, they tried to, the infected tried to go to like other parts of Europe. That was stopped by the military off screen. And I mean, at least they address it. I appreciate that. I don't mind the idea of seeing Hannah, Jim, and Selena again. I don't think we need to. I am happy with the idea that they were rescued. Whatever. It's not that. I hope they're living a happy life outside of England or in an area where there are no infected currently or something. But yeah, I mean, this one, as far as like building a better, building on what the first two did. We have the evolving zombies, and you have the this group that Jimmy's group that Spike meets there at the end. Like a group of people who are like really, really good at killing infected. And that's not. I'm not saying that's going to be like the biggest. Again, I think part of it is are they safe, and it's Spike being exposed to another perspective. That's a lot of the movie is him being exposed to different people's perspectives and choosing one by the end. He does not really agree with his father by the end. And that's part of growing up, coming of age. Yeah, we meet an alpha and are told, you can shoot a dozen times and they'll keep coming. So it's, so the moment that we see it chasing them and the water isn't completely down, the tide thing, and that was also such a great, like, really wide shot, but you can just see, because there's like the water, I forget there's a word for the phenomena, but there's like some white in the water where they're running, so we see where the alpha is and we see where they are, and we can see where the gate is. Really, really nicely done. Make it, because like it feels like, how are they gonna make it? Look how far it is. Look how little distance there is between the alpha and them. How fast the alpha is. But at the same time, it also felt like it worked. Right. Yeah. The third act also gets a little fucky. I guess Alex Garland isn't completely done doing that in movies, which is fine. I still think, I don't really dislike his third acts. I get why some people really take issue with it, with that element of his screenplays. Anyway, but as soon as the alpha is visible, Jamie does what any loving father with any sense does, and tries to keep his kid away from the influence of the alpha male, because like, Jesus Christ. And yeah, I mean, we do see he does like to fuck with young men's heads. So yeah, I mean, if Dr. Kelson calls him Samson, I think maybe he should be referred to as Andrew Tate. I don't know. I'm not 100% clear on. I guess the movie is set slightly into the future, because the first movie was present day. Yeah. And it hasn't been 29 years since the first one. It's been 23 years, but I do appreciate, it's not 28 months would have felt like really this so many years after. So, it made more sense like that. Or maybe they're on CEO time. Let's see. The thing with, you sure he's ready at age 12? Normally we wait until they're 14 or 15. He's ready, Like, is dad maybe a little too eager? Like, and we understand why mom is like, trying to kill our fucking kid. I am not going to be repeating the C word. It did. The Danish subtitles gave it a significantly less offensive. Like, I'm not sure we have. Well, no, I guess we do have some words, but for some reason they didn't use, because like they do some of the time when a character says fuck, they just use the word fuck, which we do use in Danish. We fuck sometimes, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I get we don't use the C word in Danish, and I think probably what comes closest would be like if just like motherfucker or something, like as far as like how offensive it is. But for some reason they went with some, like the direct translation of the word they used was like pig, and like it's slightly more offensive in Danish. I'm not entirely sure why, but it's not the C word, so I don't know why. Yeah, I think some people who don't know that word in English are gonna, not realize just how angry she is there. Yeah, right. So the thing with, open the gate. Look at her eyes, and only once she's seen the eyes of both of them is she willing to open the gate, because one infected is enough to completely destroy what they've worked so hard to build there. Let's see. Yeah, the bacon. That was such a great little, bacon. Really? Yeah, we're celebrating. Where's yours? Oh, I had some while. This is such a. Yeah, like he's trying to be a good dad. He's like, because he knows if he says the bacon is for you, I don't need it. The Spike is gonna be like, no, that's not how we do things here. So he lies, and it's a really obvious lie, because now why would you eat it before the kid comes down to eat? Like, no, obviously not, and they keep handing back and forth, and then he gives it to his mom. Just it's really, really sweet. I think maybe I already made it clear in the review, but it bears repeating. It wills repeating. Yeah, I felt like I understood every major character here. There wasn't a character where I was like, why the fuck are they doing that? Or where I was just like, oh, that's just, this character is just plain evil. I understood. There were evil ideas and actions, but the people, you could understand how they reached those. Let's see. I thought they did a fantastic job on the mom. I didn't want to go into detail about it in the review, because I'm glad that I didn't know going into it. Yeah. She wakes up thrashing in bed, and then, she's like very kind and gentle with Spike, but she's also, she can't, she can't tell what time of day it is, and she's forgotten about the test. And when she remembers, when he reminds her, and you can also, I thought they did a good job of, like, he is not, like, he's frustrated with, the way that things are right now because of her, illness. But he's also not like, he doesn't like hate her or something. He does want to help her, although, not long after, Spike does feel like what Jamie is doing is hurting the two of them. Let's see. I think... Does that bring us to... let's see. Yeah. There are times where she's perfectly lucid and, she's remembering her childhood, but she's also calling Spike Dad, and, she does kill that one infected and then not tell Spike, which I believe is so that he'll maintain this image of her as just like basically a perfect angel who would never, she wouldn't even harm a fly. And yeah, the editing on that, because like you can't quite tell, is it real? Is one of them dreaming, or both of them dreaming this? And then suddenly he wakes up and the infected is dead, and we see not long after, she knows what happened. She's just pretending not to. She thinks she has a strong feeling that it's cancer. She deep down on some level knows it's cancer. She knows she's gonna die soon, and all she's fucking thinking about is maintaining the innocence of her son. Like, just, God damn it, Agnes Garland, who gave you permission to hit me right in the feels? I'm joking, obviously. I wouldn't be watching movies like this if I didn't want, yeah, this kind of... And I really appreciate that there is hope. There at the end, like, her name is Isla. God damn it. Because one Isla is dead, and she's got the best spot. She can see the sunset. God fucking damn it. But another Isla lives, and yeah. So the party, first we've got all the bragging, and he's sitting there, he's clearly uncomfortable, and then, he has his first drink. God, I fucking hope it's his first. Even if it is his first, that's still very early at age 12. But yeah, vomits, as happens, because he had at least a little bit too much to drink, which happens in situations like that. And he sees his father cheating. I do appreciate the focus on female pleasure, although I guess since it's cheating, are we supposed to think that focusing on female pleasure is bad? I don't think so. And and it is also one of those things, like, you can kind of understand, because, like, I can imagine he probably hasn't had sex with Isla in a while, for obvious reasons. But it's also not, it's not right to do. Yeah, it's and he is drunk. I don't think that this is the kind of thing he just does all the time. Same as like hitting Spike, But yeah, and then Sam tells him about Dr. Kelson, and yeah, all of these things within such a short amount of time is just too much, understandably, for Spike. And suddenly he's, and I like the thing with, he accidentally burns the eggs, which, like, yeah, understandable considering the circumstances. But yeah, Spike brings up, the doctor, and then he asks, do you want Mom to die? Which, like, it's obviously, he shouldn't be saying that, But a 12-year-old, yeah, I can completely buy, and yeah, like, because the thing, he just saw his father cheat, and he's hearing, there's all these lies, and then the idea that there's a doctor out there, and they could have gone to the doctor, they could see the fire, and he admits that he knew, and that's also such a great, he's like, so you told me there wasn't a doctor out there, and then he's not like, there isn't a doctor out there, what are you talking, that's not how Jamie responds. He's like, who told you? That's like an admission. Yeah, I don't think that Jamie normally hits Spike or the wall. He could have had it all, but yeah, he's very upset, and he did, you can tell right away. He's like, I don't think he says I'm sorry, but you can tell from he does regret it. Obviously it's not right. Violence should always only ever be the last uh, resort. That's it. And no adult should ever strike a child. Um, if at all possible. Like, okay, let's say the kid's got a gun or something, and the only way to get it from them is to hit them or something like that. Other than that, no, not under any circumstances. Yeah, and yeah, he pulls a knife, the knife, the one that was like, yeah, I got the knife, good boy, and of course Jamie can easily get it from him, and then the thing, leave us alone, us, it was like so now I'm not part of this family anymore, and yeah, he sets fire to the storage, which, like, God fucking damn. But yeah, that's how important his mom is to him. And he gets them out, and the mom, by the time the mom is fully lucid, they're already, so far inland, and, it's high tide. We can't just go back. Let's see. Then we have the the little things like, is that silly with you? My dad was silly with me. Other people thought he was always serious, but he was silly with me. And they pulled the little faces, and then those appear again during the end credits. By the way, that was fuck. I meant to say that in the review. There was no post-credit scene, at least in my version. There was like footage from the movie during the end credits, but yeah, I mean, I saw at least one source that said that there would be a post-credit scene. Anyway, yes. So the what was the other thing? The God damn it! I'll get it. I swear. Let's see. I already talked about the bit where they're asleep. There's the yeah, I think that brings us to so yeah, the Swedish, what was it, Marines? Let's go with that. That was pretty cool. I do appreciate it. Yeah, if there wasn't any pressure on Garland and Boyle to make this a zombie movie, I wouldn't rule out that they would have gone straight to, oh, it's just Eric left and the others would have died off screen or something. But it was pretty cool, there was some good stuff there. I think I will just briefly note, I am not the right person to talk about it, so I will merely state that I wonder about, like, because the alpha, I couldn't, the one that, I didn't get a good enough look at the one they managed to take out, but Samson. I await, I'm sure someone will talk about his appearance and the way that certain traits might imply something. I think that's as much as I can say without, because I really don't want to. It's not my place. I'm not part of the community that might. Yeah. It is going to be pretty funny watching American conservative prudes freak out at not only a decent amount of screen time where you can see Alpha Samson Dick, but that it's a above average size one. He is a shower, not a grower. That's going to be very funny. Um, and I don't know how many of them are even gonna think about, because I mean, come on, that's it's part of the alpha thing, you know. So to be clear, that wasn't, well, maybe that was part of what I was talking about, that I shouldn't become, you know. Yeah, we are moving on. Let's see, what was the other thing? Yeah, just I don't have a lot to say. It was cool shit when the Marines were being taken out. And yeah, Eric. I'm really glad I no longer hang out with. I used to know Danish people who were fellow Danes who hated Swedes for no good fucking reason at all. I have no problem with Swedish people. I've met some that I really liked. I haven't met any that I didn't like. I just haven't met that many. Anyway, one of them used to teach me guitar. Nice guy. He's not an alien. Stop asking me the question. Anyway, the yes, so the yeah, the hiding inside the that was also great. Like, normally that would say like shell, but yes, fell off, so now it says hell, which I guess might also be a reference to, you know, hello from the first movie. But yeah, you know, they're hiding in there, and it's like, yeah, there's gas, because and he explains it, and it's again, it's technically exposition, but you know, it needs, you know, it needs to be explained, and yeah, it's true that after time, you know, because that's, you know, normally they would get rid of gasoline that, you know, long before it I forget what the word is, but it before vaporizes, you know. But yeah, with that much time, with no one taking care of that, yeah, it's gonna vaporize and it's gonna smell terrible. But if you duck and there's a gunshot, it's gonna explode, and you're gonna be okay, say the goddamn words, more or less, down there, because gas rises. You know, I forget the exact. It's something about compared to like regular air, like oxygen and such. There's some kind of scientific reason for it. I forget, and my back is fucking killing me. Shit. I'm gonna get through this. But that was a quite clever, and you know, yeah, he's like, so what now? I mean, you live here, right? You know, because and like at first he comes across as very rude, but not long after you do realize, yeah, I mean, he's not that old either. You know, I mean, I don't know, maybe 20 or something, and he's in this incredibly fucked up situation. He feels confident he's probably going to die soon, and he's like talking to this kid, and he's like, what the fuck are we gonna do? This is so fucked. I wasn't supposed to be here. I wasn't even supposed to be in here today. And yeah, you know, and the thing about, you know, my name's Eric. I'm Spike. This is, you know, Isla. Why does she keep calling you Dad? I mean, I know you're inbred, but you know, this is still, you seem a little. At age 12, I don't think you're old enough to be her father, and age 14, you're probably not an admiral, so it doesn't make sense that you would know that about Pearl Harbor. And he's carrying her, you know, because like at the end of the day, you know, yeah, I mean, that is one thing. I am largely opposed to military. I think, you know, like I said, you know, violence should always be a last resort. But I do appreciate, yeah, they are trained to, you know, I mean, in his mind, it's like, you know, the training said, you know, rescue civilians, you know, and yeah, I mean, he is strong enough, like, he's, you know, if he's active duty military, he's gonna be, you know, in the field, he's gonna be strong enough to carry her a while. And that was such a great, you know, she can walk. She could walk this entire time, you know, and the, yeah, and he's talking about, you know, so my buddy, he's a, you know, I should have been a driver, you know, and the thing about, you know, so, you know, driver, do you know what a driver is? No. Well, you know, you order stuff off the internet, you don't know what the internet is, which was also great, like, because they're so isolated, you know, and also the thing about, this thing can do so many things. Oh, it's out of power. Now it's a brick. Yeah, I mean, we do kind of take stuff like that for granted. And others have already pointed out it's commenting on, like, Brexit with isolationism and such through, this guy comes in from another country and he's like, what the fuck is going on here? Why are you living like this? And yeah, other countries aren't really doing anything. And, in real life with Brexit, it's because of the vote. It's not that we other countries are like, fuck you, England. It's the 4th of July. No, it's like, the fuck were you? God damn it. I have some family in England. I really, really hate that people are suffering because of this ridiculous idea of, we gotta get out of the EU. Just, yeah. But that's one thing. Another thing is this commenting on COVID. And yeah, the thing about how, you try to make do and you end up not doing things that you used to. And yeah. Not the biggest fan of the thing with the picture. I like the thing where, do you know what photos are? Do you have photos? Yeah, some old ones, because, like, he's never taken a photo. What does that even mean? But yeah, showing, what was his girlfriend? I guess now ex. And then they talk about her lips, and it's like, look, I'm not gonna talk about, like, beauty trends and such. I don't like when men talk about, oh, look at this woman following this particular beauty trend. She doesn't even look good. Fuck you very much. That is just, look, there are feminist women criticizing these beauty trends, and look, nobody's forcing you to date someone that you think is chasing the wrong beauty trend. You can just not date them. And not only are the characters male, but both the writer and director are also male. This is the kind of thing I've seen, some issues similar to, handled with much more finesse by female writers and directors. And I'm not saying they shouldn't be in media. I'm just saying if you can't handle it with empathy, yeah, leave it to someone who can. I think it's also, I gotta say, didn't we leave that shit behind? Like, I don't remember when I last saw, I don't know, maybe it's just, a lot of the most recent media I watch is very progressive. So, yeah, I thought we left that shit behind. Especially in one that, okay. To be fair, I'm not sure it's actually saying, alpha males, like, in the real world are a bad thing. It might just be, alpha because he's like the leader kind of thing. Let's see. I think that does bring us to yeah. The pregnant infected. That got me pretty good. That was fuck. So the moment we see her and the others, which was also such a great moment because, like, they look, look at this face. It's just like a human. They're not, like, attacking anyone. They don't seem, because like, earlier it looked really violent. That was also an interesting choice because it's like, it's not quite like night vision, but it's like red. It looks like, I guess that's a spoiler, a certain part of Super Hot. But yeah, the ripping the head off and mounting it like that, which I guess is also, okay, that is a thing that, real life human hunters actually do. So maybe there is some purposeful criticism because I feel like they could have done something else, to mark, oh, this is an alpha, this is serious business, but they specifically have it do something that, like, Jim Carrey would walk in, see it, and be like, this is a lovely room of death. And, the fact that, yeah, at first it does it with a deer, later innocence, dear, isn't it? And later it does it with a human being, because like, yeah, I mean, if would hunters be okay with it being done to them or people they care about when they die? I'm not advocating for violence against hunters, obviously, but yeah, shoes on the other foot kind of thing, yeah. So we can tell from right away, she is preggers. She is extremely, like, she is minutes away from giving birth. So it's not a huge surprise later when, she emits a cry, and without hesitation, Isla runs up, and the others are like, "What are you doing?" And I am not the right person to talk about. Is this gender essentialism that a woman can just recognize another woman, even someone that unfamiliar to her, in this very significant way? When they emit a noise that means they're about to give birth, is that gender essentialism, or is that is it the socialization of women? Because I mean, she's old enough to have helped to have been around for other births, maybe even helped with some of the other births. So maybe it's that, and it's one of those things, because like, I'm not the right person to discuss it. So I'm just saying the issues that is it a positive thing? Because obviously, not all women are capable of giving birth, or helping someone else through their birth, and that obviously doesn't make them less of a woman. Which I guess is a perfectly decent time for me to note, because transphobia is also rampant. God, I really love that the cast report is finally being properly, like, challenged. Love seeing that. Anyway, transphobes define a cis woman in a way that includes all cis women and excludes all trans women. If you can do that, you will be a goddamn hero. Like, J.K. Rowling herself will pin a medal on you, because so far no one's been able to do it. Let's see. I think, yeah. Does that cover all the issues? But yeah. Some would definitely argue that it is a positive trait to say, because it is something that some women can do, and cis men cannot. Yeah. I look forward to seeing analysis by especially female feminists. I am a feminist myself, but yeah, I am not qualified to talk about it. That I leave that to women who are feminists. Anyway, yes. So and preferably not TERFs. Yes, it's a really powerful scene. Because at first she's the pregnant infected is screaming, and Isla appreciates, it's because it's scary, it's painful. So she holds up her hands, and it works. She manages to calm her. You did it, you calmed her down. And then she manages to help deliver. Very realistic. God, they've gotten so fucking good at that. Yeah. And after a little while, the baby is indeed played by an actual baby. There's actually, I didn't count, but I think there was like 8 different babies playing the role. And yeah, I mean, the character has a decent amount, yeah, baby Isla has a decent amount of screen time, so yeah. Let's see. She ties off, I want to say it's called, and then asks, cut it, and he uses the knife. At first it's like, this knife will keep you alive against infected, and he ends up threatening his dad when he feels like his dad is dangerous to them, because I think on some level he does believe. I mean, would he have said, "Do you want mom to die?" if he didn't fully believe it? And yeah, I think one time he uses it, it's to help a new life into the world. You know, sometimes something beautiful can come from something ugly. I'm not talking about the mother, but infection overall is obviously quite negative impact on, yeah. Let's see. Then we have, God fucking damn it, Eric. And you know, this is where sometimes I get the feeling that Alex Garland is not the biggest fan of military, because this is not the only time. Uh, yeah, and it definitely reminded me of the first one. You know, the last third of the first movie in this franchise. But yeah, I hated the idea of him shooting it, but I loved that the movie did it because, not, you know, I'm so relieved that he didn't actually kill her. But, you know, at first he's like, I'm going to kill, you know, because like, it's like, you know, do you kill baby Hitler kind of thing. And then he says that he'll kill the two of them if they don't let him kill the baby, because the war propaganda, the indoctrination, the military indoctrination, you know, it's if they dehumanize the enemy so much, and it's happened. It's happening right now. There are, oh God, yeah, um, and it's so important that we confront it, because it's never going to change if we pretend that it isn't happening. And the movie opened with children dying. So, like, we're watching this scene and we're like, I mean, this movie might actually fucking do it. I can't be sure. Um, but at the end, there is still hope, you know? It would have been a little too on the nose if, you know, the baby's name is Isla Hope. I'm a hope that it's not going to be named Hope. Um, hope, 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 hope. Like Rogue One. Fuck, Andor was amazing. Holy shit. I'm still not 100% landed from that finale. Damn. Anyway, yeah, and the Alpha becomes Eric's Omega, and yeah, I mean, the fact that they end up getting the head to Kelson, and I really loved the way that the camera work and editing made sure, yeah, I mean, it was practically like, Daddy's very angry. They're running away with this baby that the Alpha thinks of as its own. It's likely that it's the father as well, and you know, yeah, there's multiple things going on here. I think it's likely that it's the father. It definitely is. You know, this is part of my tribe. You are kidnapping our young. What are you doing? And I think they could go there, like really go there. I've been waiting for one of these movies to actually, because what if, the second movie does somewhat go there. What if they think of us as the dangerous ones? You know, what if they think they're defending themselves? I can never fucking remember if it's one of from this franchise or if it's I Am Legend. Maybe it's both. At least one of these. There's like a special feature where like an animated, you know, part of the, you know, story set in the universe, and they actually do say, oh, but they actually see us as these monsters, so they think they're protecting their loved ones, you know, because they often travel in groups. They think they're the heroes, just as we think we are, you know. And yeah, I think it would be really cool if they actually do go there, because Samson's still alive by the end of this movie. I mean, I'm not sure they're gonna have him attack the little island that, you know, the one that by the end of the movie Spike has left behind. But I can imagine it's maybe he's gonna hyper focus on Spike, or maybe there's gonna maybe he and his tribe will get even more aggressive because they can't find baby Isla. You know, I'd like to see them do something, but I do really appreciate, yeah, you know, because and at the same time, that's the wonderful thing. They don't. I mean, they don't verbalize it, but I think they. No, they are. You know, the humans realize they're by bringing Baby Isla with them, they are protecting her from Samson, because Samson is going to infect her if he has the chance. I mean, they don't exactly run around with humans, you know. That's not what they do. This is not Avatar 2. Um, yeah, fuck. So yeah, I love how there's all these different perspectives. So over the course of the movie, Spike sees the perspectives of Jamie, who, you know, he ultimately rejects, although, you know, he does contact him. You know, he trusts him to write the note. He believes that he is going to take care of Baby Isla. He has by then, he realizes this was not that his father wanted the mother dead. He appreciates, you know, his mother's point of view. He certainly has a fondness for Dr. Kelson's point of view. Yeah, and, you know, there at the end with Jimmy, you know, he meets another. We don't know that much about Jimmy's point of view, but certainly he's almost treating it like a game. You know, he's like, I think you might be outmanned here, outgunned. I don't think Guile's going to be enough. Can we help? And you know, it's like, hold, go for it. You know, like he's into this shit. You know, and yeah, like we haven't really met another character in these three movies who's like fucking loving it. We've met others that were amazing at it. You know, Selena, Jesus, but this is the first one where it's like, oh, it's fun. I Right, and yeah, Eric, you know, he appreciates his perspective as well. He does firmly disagree on, you know, the yeah, the baby. There is no way for me to view in a neutral light a scene of a man shouting, you know, killing a woman who's just given birth and then shouting he's going to kill the baby whilst another woman, you know, expresses very clearly that she doesn't want him to. Considering Roe v. Wade and, you know, yeah, these various recent, you know, all this misogyny, a lot of the time, not always, but a chunk of the time, focusing on, you know, women, whether or not they have a right to an abortion, and whether the father should be part of that decision, and, you know, all the gloating that there was right after Roe v. Wade was overturned by, you know, guys who they'll then turn around and say, why don't women like men? There's a lot of women who like men. They just don't like you. And you know why, because, like, women have been telling us men what they do and do not like in us for decades now, longer than I've been alive. When I was a child, there were magazines that would, like, include polls where women very clearly expressed what they wanted in a partner, what was most important, and right from the start, misogynists were saying, no, women are lying about that. Just, yeah. And then they don't why are women like this? Because misogynists treat them really badly. Because there's a lot of aspects of patriarchy that hurt them more than us men, though patriarchy does also hurt men. Obviously, it is more important the fact that it hurts women. Yeah, I'm not the right person to say whether or not it was a respectful depiction of the issue. I can understand if some feel that it wasn't. What I'll say is it got to me, and I really appreciate. I think it's extremely important to bring to actually address this, because like if there are any misogynists watching this video right now, just when you watch that scene, do you think that you were substantially different from Eric? And if you weren't, do you maybe want to be? Does it bother you at all that this is like, because like I'm not saying that there's a one-to-one that it would happen exactly like that, but women have died because they were denied abortions, and it's going to keep happening as long as women are denied abortions. Women who could have survived it if they had gotten the abortion. And yeah, I mean, there are women who died shortly after giving birth, and it was treated as, well, as long as the baby's okay, the mother was just an incubator, so yeah. Really fucked up. I did think that, I am one of those people who love when zombies are a stand-in for something or other, and I really felt like in that scene, at least, yeah, I mean, these are basically, just a different, a group of human beings that, these, other human beings don't encounter that much, so, they can't really speak the same language, but they do have the same needs as us, like when one of them is pregnant and has to give birth, it's scary and painful, just like for so yeah, that did feel to me like, that they could function as a stand-in for maybe, an ethnic minority or something. And that is like, I think there is room for them in one or both of the next two movies to change the context and be like, I mean, they're just trying to make a living too, maybe, because like, again, if they see us as dangerous, maybe they even think we're attacking when we actually aren't. Yeah, they think they're defending themselves, and yeah, it's not like I've watched or read the scripts or something for the next two movies, but Garland does like to make us think about, someone we might otherwise not really, and empathize with someone we otherwise might not really. Yeah, Dr. Kelson, can we just appreciate how fucking talented Ralph Fiennes is? Like, my God. I've never felt let down by a Ralph Fiennes performance. It's just, yeah. And yeah, early on we're told, oh, he was just waving at us like this was the most normal thing in the world. And I mean, I'm sorry, this is probably going to sound morbid to some people. I really, really understood where Kelson was coming from, because like, at the end of the day, I mean, he can't really make graves for all these people, but he can build a skull pile. The Hunter Killers appreciate him doing the legwork on that. And yeah, I mean, is it that different to pile skulls compared to digging a bunch of graves in the same overall area? Memento Mori. He genuinely, and he points out, the infected are still human. We got to remember their deaths as well. You know, he doesn't distinguish. He doesn't see infection. Yeah, I don't know if it's the most. Again, I don't know if it's the most sensitive, but I do think it's important to raise these issues. And you know, if they didn't do a perfect job here, maybe they'll get some feedback and do better in one of the next ones. That's happened a lot in recent years. Yeah. God, when he was like, you know, is the Spike accidentally knocks one over. He's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And Dr. Kelson's like, it's not. That's not what's important about this monument. You know, parts of it might falter due to this, that, or Spike's hand. Just, yeah, and you know, yeah, he knocks out Samson. Very clever. You know, yeah, morphine. I don't know the other drug he mentioned, but yeah, enough morphine. Yeah, that's really gonna. And I also like the thing like, oh, Dad says like steroids. I don't know what that is, but I guess that's why they're like that. And yeah, that makes perfectly decent sense. You know, I mean, we don't know everything about the Rage virus. Let's see. There was somewhere. I don't think it was one of the movies, but there was somewhere where it was like, oh, it's like a mutation of rabies or something like, you know. And yeah, I mean, it's not exactly rabies. Rabies doesn't make, as far as I know, it doesn't make the dogs like bigger or something. But you know, it the rabies aspect can explain why there's. Why are you so angry? Why are you always hitting people? You know, but why do you sound so fucking angry? Okay, I got it out of my system. Anyway, yeah, yeah, and they get the head, and it's like, did you know, you know, was he a good person? Or fuck, was that the line? Shit, I don't remember. But there was something. Yeah, there was the thing about, you know, he saved our lives, you know, and that, yeah, it's great that they can still appreciate that because he technically did, you know. It just wasn't the last thing he did. Um, and yeah, you know, he cleans the skull. And yeah, they place, you know. Alas, poor Eric, I threw him well. And yeah, the testing of the mom, and then we get the how is Alex Garland still so fucking good at this after so many years of doing it? We know where it's going, you know, like the moment, because he said, you know, we get enough details. Like if you sit down and really think about it, like yeah, it sounds like cancer. She, you know, there's all this pain. She's, you know, like having some trouble distinguishing, you know, remembering things, distinguishing between different time periods, and like she's hallucinating and these various things, you know. Yeah, like it. And yeah, he tests, and he even does the, yeah, he's so doctorly. He's like, it would help if I could test, you know, the you know, armpit and breasts. Is that okay? And she says yes. You know, she consents. That is the kind of, you know, test that you really want to make sure you have consent for. And you know, he does, you know, what was it like? Put your the tip of your index finger on your nose, and then move it in a straight line towards me or something like that. And she struggles, you know. I forget, is that fine motor skills? I can never remember what that one's called, but that is one of the, yeah, and yeah, you know, he says it's, the tests are back, it's definitely cancer, and there is nothing we can do. You know, it's already like, it sounds like it's too far, but yeah, because some of it's in her brain. Like there's a decent chance even if they could treat her, because like, you know, like chemotherapy and that sort of thing, you know, but. And the thing about, you know, he can't cure me, but he can help me. And, you know, you can tell from her face she's okay with the you know, I don't know if that's still morphine. Careful that the kid's not gonna end up like addicted. But yeah, not take him out of the equation, because otherwise he's gonna put up a fight. And yeah, it's just she's ready. And it is her decision at the end of the day. I am in favor of euthanasia. I think if you genuinely want to die, at the very least, if you have this kind of condition, that's going to kill you anyway, and it's like she's in so much pain. Like, so much of the movie, she's in pain. She's ready, and he's willing to do it, and yeah, it's such a moving scene. I actually there was, I've heard, it might just be a rumor, but I heard that originally there was a line, and I'm so glad they cut it, because apparently she was gonna, there was gonna be this thing of like, she would go like, he's performing an autopsy, Dr. Kevorkian, I'm still alive. But yeah, Memento Mori, Memento Amoris. And yeah, he does leave baby Isla. And one of them checks and is like, this is Mimi LeBlanc. And yeah, I mean, if there were any doubt, which I mean, I hope there wasn't. I didn't feel any doubt, certainly. That Jamie does love Spike. The moment he realizes, he runs out and opens the gate, and he starts to go, like, thankfully he doesn't go so far that he ends up dead. But yeah, and yeah, at the end of the day, Spike, it's that thing of, you can't ever go home, because it doesn't really exist. You're a different person now, and just, yeah, and they did say at the start, we will not send someone out to get you, because that's gotten a lot of us killed. So they are not. I guess it's not impossible in the next one that when the tide is low, he might. That could be an interesting story, because I don't think, Spike is not looking to be taken back. I don't know. The immature part of me is thinking like, oh, could he like try to take on Jimmy's guys maybe, or something? Yeah. I guess that's everything. Fuck, this was such an amazing movie. God damn. Yeah, I do not hate the idea that maybe, I mean, I saw that Imogen Poots has expressed, might be cool to appear in one of the next two. Yeah, I do think, like the idea of her and Danny, and this like idea of a cure, because I think that's such an interesting idea. I think they could really do something with that. And I don't think it necessarily means, I mean, if you start one of the next two movies with, oh, here's the two siblings again. I'm sorry, I forget her name. His name is Danny. Yeah, here's the two siblings again. He's still, he's a carrier. Maybe they can make some kind of, I mean, maybe the movie starts with them getting enough material to, maybe they make something that could hypothetically be a cure or vaccine, but they don't have time to test it. But it can be replicated, especially as long as you have Danny. Zombies attack. Danny insists, and some like military or something spend a lot of the movie on the run, protecting the vial, protecting Danny. It ends with them arriving at a place. Like, yeah, maybe this could be the third movie. It ends with them arriving at a new science-y place. It's tested. It works. And that could be the ending of the movie and the movie series. You could still do, like, stories set in between movies or something, like the some of the, from what I recall, at least some of the extras for the the animated ones are like in between or before or something like that. You could do stuff like that, but, and I do also appreciate it doesn't have to have a definitive ending. Although, I mean, that is the thing. When they made the first one, they were not thinking that it was going to get sequels, and the ending is like the theatrical, not the original ending. That was a little more like uncertain, but the theatrical ending. Do you think they saw us this time? Clearly, yeah. The plane saw them, saw the hello. We're seeing infected die of starvation. That first movie, that could have been the last. And I do think the second one does a good job of following up on that. I think that might just about cover great tension when one of the, did I see that right? Was the name Jimmy carved into the chest? Was that Jimmy's doing, maybe? And yeah, punishment, warning, something like that. But yeah, at first it's just hanging there, and then it moves, and this like, come on, kid, shoot, and he gets his hands free, and then the legs, and about to, yeah, that was a great, because the buildup is there, it doesn't just come out of nowhere. Like I mentioned, I did think, what was the the jump scare? It was like an animal running out or something like that. It was something that wasn't actually dangerous. That, yeah, right. I I do think the full body burn could have been emotional, like it was in the second one, instead of just creepy and kind of cool, like it was in the first one. Like in the first one, it's the Molotov. The first the first time Jim sees some infected be killed. In this one, it was some random infected, yeah, burning because of the fumes. It was just running on fumes, and I'm sorry, but in the second one, like the Jeremy Renner character does so much to protect them, and like he knows he's not gonna get back into the car, but he, yeah, he has to protect them, and so he, yeah, pushes the car until he manages to start it. He does the little wink with the right eye and everything, and they set him on fire, and it's like, but I really like that, I was just starting to like that guy.